Let's jump right into this explainer. We're looking at something way beyond the usual AI hype you see on your feed every day. We're diving deep into the Mimey Super Digital Blueprint to decode a massive, almost invisible transformation. Because, look, AI isn't just some fancy new calculator sliding into classrooms. It's literally restructuring human civilization and completely rewriting what we think of as future skills. By the end of this, you're going to look at the entire educational impact of this technology from a totally different angle. Let's kick things off with a quiet, honestly kind of disturbing observation straight from the student's perspective. Think about this. What if the biggest threat to a student's future isn't actually a robot taking their job? What if it's our legacy education system, a system built for the Industrial Revolution, completely failing to prepare young minds for an AI-integrated world? I mean, we've essentially treated education like an assembly line for a century, right? Stamp the facts in, ship the student out. But what happens when the factory itself is totally obsolete?
So let's break this down in Section 1, the knowledge tiers.
To really grasp the magnitude of this shift, we've got to cut through the generic AI noise. Let's start at the surface level with what everyone already knows. We've all seen the headlines. AI tools are flooding into schools globally. Students are obviously using them to write essays, generate code, and solve math problems. Schools are freaking out about plagiarism, while teachers are turning to automated grading just to keep their heads above water. That's the baseline. It's the immediate, noisy disruption happening right now. But stopping there, huge mistake.
Check out this stark contrast. Over on one side, you've got what the experts are focusing on. They're super excited about personalized AI tutors, adaptive curriculums, and software that learns how you learn. And hey, that's great, but look at the other side. This is what almost nobody connects together. While everyone's distracted by AI tutors, we're totally missing how AI is fundamentally altering human economic incentives and the actual survival skills kids will need. From a student's perspective, their future isn't just about learning faster anymore. It's about surviving an entirely different economic reality.
And that leads us to a strict foundational rule from this blueprint's systems thinking framework. Never discuss technology in isolation. We absolutely cannot look at classroom tech as just a shiny new gadget on a desk. Because think about it. If you change the tools in the classroom, you inevitably change human behavior. And when human behavior shifts, boom, you alter labor markets, economics, and ultimately society itself. It is all connected.
Which brings us to Section 2, multi-order educational effects.
We really need to step outside the classroom walls for a second and apply some multi-order thinking. It plays out in 3 steps. Step 1 is the first-order effect, that immediate classroom disruption we just talked about. The AI does the homework, right? But step 2, this is where it gets crazy. The second-order effect is a massive shift in student behavioral incentives. I mean, if a machine can write a flawless essay in 3 seconds, a student's psychological motivation to learn syntax completely tanks. Why learn something a machine does instantly and for free? And that triggers step 3, the third-order effect. Massive, long-term structural changes to global labor markets. You can literally trace the path from a simple homework bot to a full-blown civilizational shift.
Notice this hidden force at play here. It's a continuous, civilizational feedback loop. AI doesn't just change the answers students get on a test, it changes the very why of learning in the first place. Because the students change their behavior, schools are forced to adapt their teaching methods. Because the teaching methods change, the skills entering the workforce change, which permanently shifts human economic incentives. It's an unstoppable cycle, and it's happening as we speak. Let's look at the real-world fallout in Section 3, winners, losers, and future skills. Let's explore what this means for the person sitting at that desk. Make no mistake, there are going to be distinct winners and some really unexpected losers. From an educational model standpoint, the winners are the ones who adapt to AI ecosystems. The losers, the folks relying on legacy models, just doing what they're told. Now look at the thinking style. The future absolutely belongs to cross-disciplinary synthesizers, people who can mash up art, math, and psychology. The losers are the isolated subject memorizers. If your only trick is reciting facts from one specific subject, AI already has you beat, hands down. And when it comes to problem solving, it's the systems engineers who see the big picture that win, while the rigid rule followers get left behind. So if rote memorization is totally dead, what's actually going to keep these kids afloat? The blueprint clearly demands that the student of the future must master these specific, uniquely human skills. We're talking systems engineering and complexity science, understanding how different pieces of society interact. High-level emotional intelligence and strategic human relationship building. Why? Because machines do not have empathy and business still runs on human trust.
And then there's philosophical and ethical reasoning. When the machines can do the executing, humans have to be the ones doing the ethical guiding. These are the exact skills that bridge the gap between cold, raw technology and nuanced human behavior.
I absolutely love this quote from the source material. It was originally an instruction for documentary filmmakers. Replace literal visuals with original symbolic imagery, visualize its hidden meaning. But man, it is the perfect analogy for the future of education. Just like a filmmaker has to move past literal shots to find a deeper story, a student has to replace literal rote memorization with deep, structural, systems-level thinking. You've got to look right past the literal answer a search engine spits out and grasp the symbolic, interconnected meaning of the problem itself.
Which brings us to our final, most crucial layer of analysis, Section 4, the civilizational shift. All of this builds directly into a mental framework pulled straight from our source, called the ecosystem adaptation model. And this completely redefines what a student's educational journey even is. Education is no longer about information retrieval. You don't go to school to become a walking filing cabinet of facts anymore. Education is now entirely about learning to navigate and manipulate complex AI-integrated societal ecosystems. It's about learning how to pilot the ship, not just memorizing the map.
If you take away just one thing from this entire explainer, make it this. Education is shifting from knowing the answer to knowing how the systems connect. Think about it. AI already knows the answer. It knows all the answers. The massive educational impact of this technology is that human intelligence just isn't measured by storage capacity anymore. It's measured by your ability to connect the dots, to synthesize wildly different pieces of information, and to engineer totally new solutions using AI as your baseline tool.
I want to end our time together by leaving you staring at a final, honestly pretty haunting question about the future of our society. If artificial intelligence can execute all of our legacy skills, what does it truly mean to be an educated human in the next era of civilization? It is a question every single educator, parent, and student needs to deeply sit with if we want to thrive in the world that is rapidly being built around us. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking the big questions, and I'll catch you next time.